The Closing Bell, Bloomberg's comprehensive cross-platform coverage of the U.S. market close starts right now.
And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Scarlet Fu, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. It started. Massar and Matt Miller joining us from the radio booth. Tim Stenovic has the day off as we...
This poor guy, I can't tell you how many times I keep coming back from a break. I'm Massar along with Tim Stenovic. Matt's like, I have worked with you for like 20 years.
It's been over 25 years, Carol.
He's really upset.
Meanwhile, Tim just got here.
Romaine, he's just so sensitive. You know how that can be.
Okay, yeah, I'm a little lost here, but welcome to our audiences across all of our Bloomberg platforms. All right, Carol, let's get right to it here. I mean, we've been talking a lot on the TV program. I don't know what you guys talk about on radio other than wine and stuff, but on the TV program, we've been talking about the big market moves and the idea that most of the moves today are in the small and mid cap space at the expense of large caps.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. What a kind of weird day I feel like we're counting down to that jobs report, but there's so much going on again. But bank stocks, you want to look for some outperformance, folks? Take a look at the KBW Bank Index. It's up about 1.5%. Lots of speculation, right? We see bank stocks, their highest level in 3 years. Investors speculating that those banks will boost buybacks and dividends after clearing the Fed stress test. So, yeah, there's some outperformance for you, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it doesn't seem weird at all, right? We had insane window dressing the last couple of days. Romaine, you were saying, we're the most overbought in like a year. Mm-hmm. So you're obviously not going to carry through with massive gains again on July 1st, the first day of the second half. It's time for a little bit of calm.
And I think it's interesting, too. Jill Carey Hall over at Bank of America had a note out talking about the outflows that Bank of America customers have exhibited over the past few weeks, and particularly in the most recent week. The idea that those withdrawals, those outflows have actually accelerated. So an interesting mix here and an interesting test of sentiment as we head into the second half of the year. A second half of the year that, at least for the S&P 500, ends on a down note. Down fractionally on the day by 0.1%, only down about 7 points, just slightly below that 6,200 level. The Nasdaq Composite and Nasdaq 100 both down roughly about 0.8 or so on the day. But the two bright spots on the day, you have the Dow Jones Industrial Average up 0.9%, up more than 400 points, and the Russell 2000 up more than 20 points or a percent on the day. Just real quickly, Carol, I just want to point out transports adding 3% and the S&P 400 mid caps adding 1.2.
Wow, some outperformance there. We do also have a headline crossing. Xerox closing its purchase of Lexmark, so uniting two industry leaders. Just
blast from the past.
Industry leaders, huh?
Wow.
I just read the headlines. S&P 500, by the way, folks, most names higher, 378 to the upside today, 124 to the downside, Scarlet.
So even though the S&P 500 itself was pretty much flat on the day, we do look at 9 sectors finishing in the green. The materials sector up by 2.25%, with all 26 members advancing. Healthcare stocks also getting more than 1%, up 1.4%. The laggards of the day, the biggest sector in the S&P, technology losing 1.1%, and communication services reflecting declines in names like Meta.
All right, let's get to some individual gainers. And guys, be kind to me, don't judge. Some of them are not household names, so I'm just kind of setting you up here. Small cap, $590 million.
Wow, I recognize one of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure help me if I'm not pronouncing this. Atay Life Sciences, do you know?
Sure.
You're on your own on that one. You picked this. What are you talking about?
I know. Well, I had a busy day.
What is it, Carol?
It's a life sciences company. It's actually a psychedelic drug developer.
Sweet.
Based in Berlin.
Yeah.
Matt's all over this.
It's based in Berlin. Do you know this company?
I have not done any testing for them, but...
Okay.
Based in Berlin with 54 employees.
Thank you. God, you guys are
Tiny,
such love. Yeah, it's $590 million market cap. Shares up as much as 32% today, finishing the day with about a 23, almost 24% gain. Psychedelic drug developer said a mid-stage trial of its experimental therapy for treatment-resistant depression met all key endpoints. You know that this is something that's been percolating for years generally when it comes to psychedelics. Stocks up about 109% year-to-date, 7% though of the float is shorted, but that was definitely a standout. Here's another one, not a household, just under a $600 million market cap. Shares jumping about 14% after Roth Capital Partners raised the price target for the gold and silver producer to 15 from 12 after the company increased its gold and silver price forecast. This stock is up 41% year-to-date. 10% of the float is short. And then here's a more well-known company, $8 billion market cap company. I know, AGCO. finishing the day with a gain of just shy of 5%. Tractor manufacturer, as you know, entered into a set of agreements resolving all outstanding disputes with Tractors and Farm Equipment Limited. It's the company's largest shareholder. Stock hitting a 52-week high. And just honorable mention, Nike up about 3%. Argus upgrade saying the recovery is underway.
And it's nice to give small caps a victory lap, you know?
And I just want to add a couple to that.
I thought it was a broadening, like it was kind of interesting, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add a couple to those as well here. A lot of strength in the auto stocks today, the ones not named Tesla, particularly with GM up 6%. And of course, we saw a big move higher in Las Vegas Sands, Wynn, and Melco on the casino companies on the back of new data, Matt, out of Macau.
You didn't like my names, did you? You didn't like my names.
He's not going to respond.
He's not going to respond.
I'll tell you the decliners, and Tesla has to be the standout, certainly the biggest of them. It's no longer worth $1 trillion. It's down for 6 days in a row. It's fallen almost 14% in those last 6 trading days as well, first of all, the big, beautiful bill goes through, taking out EV subsidies and tax credits sooner than initially expected, and now it looks like Trump and Musk, President Trump and Elon Musk are in another fight where President Trump is threatening to turn Doge, which he refers to as a monster, against now Elon Musk's companies and potentially looking at deportation of Elon Musk. I don't know how that would work since he's a U.S. citizen, but I feel like I have confidence that President Trump can achieve even that. Warner Brothers Discovery shares down as well after a big block trade. Advanced Newhouse sold 100 million shares for about $1.1 billion, according to a filing that was at 4.3% below where the stock closed. And you can see today it's down 4.54%, so almost exactly that. And then I've been thinking a lot about strategy, which used to be called MicroStrategy, and the ticker is still MSTR. Because of this spat, Scarlett, between Jim Chanos and Michael Saylor, I was listening yesterday to the Odd Lots podcast with Chanos, which I highly recommend you take a listen to it, because they really trash these leveraged Bitcoin proxies. However, strategy looks set to register an unrealized gain of $14 billion in the second quarter, which is massive. There are only 10 U.S. multinationals that are expected to exceed $10 billion in profits last quarter. So MicroStrategy is among essentially the biggest banks on Wall Street.
Doesn't strategy have an actual business?
I mean, when we talked to Michael Saylor, he said they have a real business selling financial products and software. But essentially, it's a leveraged Bitcoin proxy, right?
Yeah, that's what it's become.
And there are like 200 others, apparently.
All the Me Too copycats.
All right, let's keep it moving here. Just a quick check on yields, guys. We did see a bit of a flip-flop in the trend line that we've had over the last few weeks, where short-term yields would fall more than long-term yields, but that flipped on its head today with shorter-term yields moving higher, 5 to 6 basis points on the 2-year yield. And a lot of this has to do with now a rethink of some of those bets on Fed rate cuts. That JOLTS data, a big preview, potentially a preview to what we might learn on Thursday with the monthly jobs report, causing some people to see a little bit more strength in the labor market, which i.e. would translate into maybe a little bit less likelihood of a rate cut anytime soon.
All right. And I just want to mention House Speaker Mike Johnson, some headlines. He's speaking to reporters saying a lot of work ahead, but we'll get the Trump tax bill done. He said the Senate amended the tax bill a little bit more than preferred, so we'll continue to monitor. In the meantime, we're monitoring kind of fashion trends. And I got to say, both Romaine and Matt are super fashionable, always look dapper, but I'm not quite sure if they're going to embrace something called the snowfer, which is basically a hybrid sneaker loafer, but they're said to be footwear's hottest trend. Yeah, so it's a kind of a sneaker and a loafer. It sounds like it's going to be kind of comfortable.
Good God.
It's horrendous.
Who's wearing those?
Come on, you would look great in this, Romaine.
You know who would look great in this?
Who?
My 77-year-old aunt. You know, tracing around Hilton Head. I love you, by the way, Sheila.
I don't know. I mean,
come on, I could see you wearing those with the, maybe not those guys. Yeah. Those look like, hey,
those are the New Balance ones, yeah.
I've got the TV dinner in front of Jeopardy, you know.
I would say, like, I don't wear sneakers, right? They're not for adults. But Carol wears these, like, Roger Federer sneakers.
Yeah. Hey guys, I hate to break up the conversation. You know we have earnings.
Okay,
Do you care about earnings?
Yes, we do.
It's liquor related, so you'll like it, Caroline.
I definitely.
Constellation
Constellation
Brands.
I definitely
Brands.
care.
Constellation Brands out. This is for their fiscal first quarter. Looks like on a comp sales basis, they did come in relatively on the nose. $3.22 in the most recent quarter. The street was looking for that on average. So we should point out analyst coverage is somewhat limited. Beer net sales did miss as expected. So did wine and spirit sales, also missing as expected. And total beer operating income dropped by about 5.4%. You see the shares slightly lower in the after hours trade, down by about 3% here. It's going to take a while to dig through some of the other numbers in this release, but on the surface here, it looks like either in line or slightly below what the street was looking for.
And we'll, of course, keep an eye on what they say about the impact of tariffs as well, especially on aluminum cans, because they do import some of their aluminum for those cans.
Yeah, but definitely seeing some pressure here in the aftermarket. Stock's down about 24, almost 25% year to date. So, again, some disappointment here following earnings. All right, that is a wrap, I think. We got to wrap it up.